Hi, I'm Nicholas Firmino, and you're listening to the NERevs UK podcast, all things revolution from a UK perspective.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
NERevs UK. All things revolution from a UK perspective.
Hello everybody, my name is Mike and welcome back to the NERevs UK show, all things revolution from a UK perspective. And just to kind of get things started off, guys, there will be some slight changes going into the 2021 season. As some of you may have noticed, I just called it the NERevs UK show rather than a podcast. And that's because I think that I kind of want to start creating a little bit more visual kind of content. And while I can kind of do that for a podcast, I think the best place for this would be YouTube. So because I will be showcasing some of it today. But I kind of want to give you a feel for how the episodes will be structured going into the next season. It's something I've been quite excited to do, and it's something I've been working on for quite a while. So hopefully it will kind of give you guys a little bit more insight into kind of the thoughts and processes that I go through, and also hopefully give you guys a little bit more back as well in terms of giving you some kind of more in-depth analysis rather than me just kind of sitting here and talking at you, which is pretty much what I'm going to do today mostly. But I have made notes. So we are getting a little bit more professional. But yeah, so it will be kind of more of a show here on YouTube, not with my face. And that's just a personal choice because I just kind of don't know. I don't really want to put myself out there at the moment, and people kind of know. I mean, some people will know who I am already, but I don't really kind of want a lot of people to kind of know and it be pinned back to me. Some of it, part of it's due to what I do in terms of outside of away from content creation, kind of like within work and all that kind of stuff. But I just kind of hope you guys can respect that, and who knows in the future what it will bring. But getting back to all things New England Revolution from the UK's perspective, well, not the UK perspective, my UK perspective. And yeah, obviously the New England Revolution disappointingly knocked out of the MLS Cup in the Eastern Conference Finals. To be fair, on the day, Columbus Crew were the better of the two teams as well. So, I mean, can you be massively disappointed? I mean, there's always room to be disappointed for something, but I mean, I don't think we really gave much in that game, especially the first half. I'll kind of run through kind of very quick overview thoughts of kind of my opinions of that game. And I will run from back to front and obviously give you my opinions of how the players done. But today's episode is mostly going to be me talking about where I think the New England Revolution roster needs to go for that 2021 season to kind of get us over that final hurdle and make sure we get to that MLS Cup final and hopefully win the trophy next season, obviously under the leadership of Bruce Arena. But just quickly on the Columbus Crew game, as I say, it was very much a game over two halves. Columbus Crew were in ascendancy in that first half. We just really offered very little at all in terms of anything really going forward in that first half. It was quite painful to watch it sometimes, and I don't quite know really what we were trying to do. It just seemed that whatever, obviously naming an unchanged 11, that made sense. I mean, we played very well against Orlando, and you kind of hoped that team would, and the kind of, I don't know, the kind of morale boost that you'd have got from that performance would have hopefully carried on into Columbus. But again, another game on the road, but I wouldn't really use that as a negative because we've played away against Philadelphia and against Orlando, and we actually, during the normal season, well, and the MLS is back up, we kind of seem to perform better actually away from home. So I can't really use that as an excuse. Obviously, again, they had fans on their side, which again they had at Orlando as well. So you kind of think that they kind of got used to that. Well, not really used to it, but kind of know what to expect. Obviously, on the day that Columbus would have fans, and so I mean, I'm not really saying that Columbus is a miles better team than Orlando, but we beat Philadelphia Union as well. I mean, and this wasn't the strongest Columbus Crew as in obviously the team name's Columbus Crew, but this is the Crew play. Anyway, which was the strongest 11, I don't think anyway. It wasn't far from, but it still wasn't their strongest 11. But it was. I think really for me the battle was won in the midfield. I think Nagby and Arthur really run the show for Columbus. They got the ball, they distributed it really well. The biggest thing I noted down, and I kind of don't really want to talk about this too much because there's a lot of people like the Revolution, the Revolution Revolt. There's a lot of people kind of out there that are breaking the game down more analytically, and that's kind of what I want to go into next season. But I haven't really kind of 100% kind of convinced myself on the format that I want to do it in, so I'm not going to be doing it for this episode. But I kind of just wanted to talk to you about obviously the game itself and just real briefly. And for me, the biggest thing that I noted down here is that there was too much of a gap. I mean, we had a very kind of almost very deep line. I mean, we were pressing quite high up, but we had quite a deep defensive line. And Scotty and Matt kind of went missing a lot of that because they were trying to shield the back four, which is I imagine both of their kind of their first thought in mind as both very defensive minded players. Their first thought would always be to kind of shield that back four, which is fine. But then if you're almost defending in a 6-man back line with no one really dropping short, because Bo. It was actually Buxa that actually dropped short majority of the time. I didn't really notice Gustavo coming short to kind of collect the ball. And although Bruce has said a number of times throughout the season that he feels that Gustavo is better closer to the goal than anything else, I mean, the way we kind of played in this game, it just seemed that the roles were reversed, and Bo was the striker and Butska was the 10 almost at some points. He was dropping really deep to kind of try and get the ball from, and then almost I imagine the plan was to use Butska as the knock on towards Bo, but it really wasn't working. And I mean, I tweeted throughout the game, and I was very frustrated with Gustavo on the day, and I've watched it back again, and some of it's been appeased because he could see he was trying to do the right thing on certain things, but at the same time, for me, still he had a very poor game for his standards, and he wasn't as impactful as he could have been. But again, there's a lot of this which I do throw the bucket at Bruce on this, because I just think on the day tactically we did get it wrong, and even I'd say the first half performance is on Bruce. We tactically got it wrong. We were inept and we weren't kind of there. But then I think the second half performance, I mean, literally we had half an hour of us just going at Columbus and we couldn't break them down, which goes to show that their defensive qualities, they have got a really good defensive unit that worked well throughout the whole season. But our attack just didn't really kind of know what he was doing. I mean, Carlos had a very, very quiet game for him. His set pieces were really poor as well. His decision making at time wasn't the best for what we've seen, and it almost felt to me that it was just that one step too far for the team, and it just goes to show that we are just lacking that thing, and we can't just rely on one person for our whole season. And I've said it a number of times again throughout this year that I don't think really without Carlos Hill, we would have definitely not got this far. And I put a good discussion piece out yesterday, which got a lot of people talking about. Obviously, does Adam Boots warrant his DP contract? And it got a lot of people talking, which is the whole point of me actually putting out that tweet. It was not really for me to get involved. It's more to see other people kind of give their opinions. And a lot of people kind of had similar-ish opinions, but it was good to see the difference in opinions. And one person actually tweeted me, and I apologise now because I can't remember who it was, but they said that he is with Carlos in the team. But for me, that doesn't really make 100% sense, because a player isn't a DP. They're their own person. They're their own player, and they want their own contract. So for to say that he is only a DP player when Carlos is in the team, sure, that just means that it's Carlos that should be the top player. And for me at the moment, I mean, obviously, again, he's had a very tough time. He's joined the Revolution during a pandemic. He's not had the easiest transition into life as a Revolution player. I don't think he's obviously warranted his contract this season, but you can see that it's there. And obviously, towards the back end of this season, he's kind of showed that he can. And when the servicing to him is correct, and and we're utilising him to his strengths. He can be a very useful player, and he can be a handful. So obviously, my opinion on it is that I don't think he probably warranted his DP contract this season, but I do think in the future we'll kind of see the best of what Adam Butska's got to bring. But for me, as I said, I think that tactically we got it very wrong on the day. There was just too much of a gap between Caldwell and Polster, between the rest of the team as well. It was just a huge gap, and to be fair, that's what I think Nagby and Arthur had to do a game, because they were just in between that gap and they were just mopping everything up and then trying to hit on a counter, and they've got a lot of pace in their team, Columbus have, and I think it's kind of the first half was just an absolute shambles of a performance. To be fair, probably on par with one of the worst I've actually seen of a Revolution team this year. And then the second half, as I said, we had like half an hour of really Columbus just sitting back, soaking up the pressure, and then trying to hit us on the break. And we still couldn't get that final killer ball into the box to kind of, make anything happen. I mean, I think we only managed like 4 shots on target in total. I mean, we only had 10, which, they still had 16. But only 4 of them actually hit the target, and I don't really remember the goalkeeper really being that busy throughout the whole game. So, when you've got your backup goalkeeper in, these are the times when you've really got to start testing them. And I just don't think we did that. So it's a very disappointing performance. But overall, this season, I'm very, very proud of this team. We've definitely surpassed my expectations. I did not expect to see this far. I mean, obviously, to get into the playoffs, if we didn't do that, then that would have been an absolute joke of a season. And obviously we did technically only just really scrape into it, but we had to. We definitely could not have made the playoffs. That would have been an absolute joke. But to then go on the run that we did, obviously we were drawn against Philadelphia Union. I pretty much think no one expected us to win that, and then obviously we draw Orlando again, another team which I didn't really think would get anything from on the form that they'd been playing throughout the season. And then obviously Columbus, the highest seeded team left in the competition, and again didn't really expect to get anything. And on this occasion, we didn't. We did actually call it short. But I'm definitely going to say I'm very, very proud of the Revolution of what we played this season, and I think that them 2 performances against Philadelphia and Orlando will live long in the memory of many Revolution fans. But overall, yeah, really, really proud of the boys, and let's hope we can kind of kick on into the 2021 season and take some of these new fans that we've kind of managed to get along this way, obviously, as people were starting to kind of take a little bit more notice of the Revolution, and as they were obviously on a bit of a success. But hopefully that if all the people that did join us for the Columbus game are now, I imagine there's a good chunk of them probably turned off and won't ever watch the Revolution again. But hopefully we managed to keep 1 or 2 of them people along the way. So now, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the first team squad in theory, and kind of go through my thoughts and opinions of where these players should be sitting for that 2021 season. Now, obviously, we will start off with the man in charge, Bruce Arena, and I do think he should be kept. I think he's done well. I've kind of mentioned it before. He does blow hot and cold sometimes, and the decision making sometimes leaves me very frustrated, especially with his substitutions. Again, the ones in Columbus just didn't make sense to me. But he's got more knowledge than I have. I mean, just because I think it's wrong. Excuse me, that is one big yawn. Just because I got it wrong, I am recording this very early in the morning. But I kind of wanted to just get this done while it was kind of fresh in my head and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he obviously does know his stuff. And when he does get it right, he's really nice football from the Revolution, and we play some really good stuff, and we look like we can beat any team on the day. It's just sometimes, I do substitutions. Just I don't get it. It's I don't know. Like taking Tyrion off on Sunday, that just did not make sense. But anyway, enough about that. Bruce, we're keeping. In terms of the keepers, the men between the sticks. I mean, Matt Turner for me is an obvious keep, but it's if we can keep him, I think it's pretty much done. And I think we'd have to be offered a good substantial amount of money for us to kind of let him go. He's under contract. Will teams come in for him? There is a chance, but hopefully we can kind of keep him. But yeah, I mean, on that one, obviously we'd like to keep him. Obviously, if we do keep him is a different question. Brad Knighton, Oh god, it's always a bad decision to record this early in the morning sometimes. I've managed to keep most of my yawns at bay, but I'm not editing them out, guys. This is just how it is. Maybe in the future when that 2021 quality content comes, but this is still 2020. This year's, I think this content is just very fitting of this year, really. Brad Knighton, I mean, I've always been happy to have Brad around the club, and I kind of hope that we do kind of keep him in some capacity. I think he'd be a great goalkeeping coach, although we would have got a cracking goalkeeping coach, but maybe for the Revolution 2 team, I think he'd be very, very useful there. Although today we've got a very good goalkeeper coach in the Revolution 2 team as well, so I don't know. But I hope we do kind of keep him around in some kind of capacity. I think he's been a very loyal servant of the Revolution, and I'd be happy to keep him around for another season as obviously Matt's backup. Now obviously there's the question of obviously if Matt does go, what happens then? Does Brad get the nod? Probably. I think Brad does. I do think we probably go out and buy another goalkeeper. But you know, I mean, I don't know how many people would be happy to have Brad as our first choice goalkeeper going in to the 2021 season. I mean, I don't. For me, he's never really looked bad. You know, he's not. Every time I've seen him play, he's always putting a really good performance. I mean, obviously I'm not putting him on the same par as Matt Turner, but I've always been really happy to have Brad as a backup goalkeeper. And when we've kind of need to call up on him, he's played really, really well. So we've then got obviously Jeff Caldwell, and I really can't. You know, I've got to reserve my opinion on him because I've not seen anything to kind of. I think he play a half a game in pre-season if I remember correctly. I don't think he did anything again too wrong, but I don't think he had much to do in that game either. But I don't know what to say. It's weird because it's not even, from my opinion, it's not like you can drop him down. Oh my god, you got tape here over here. To the Revolution 2 because we've got a very good goalkeeper and backup goalkeeper in that as well. I mean, again, it's hard to judge, but is he better than Joe Rice? I don't know, but we've seen a lot of Joe Rice, and we've seen a lot of Kevin Meyer as well. Is it Kevin Meyer? Oh man, I'm sorry, I think I might have got your name wrong. I think it might be like Kalen, but I can't remember. Very, very sorry. I should know this thing. I call myself a Revolution fan. Don't even know the players' names. But where I don't know where Jeff lies. Obviously, if Brad retires or goes away because of capacity, I mean, he comes back up. But we haven't seen enough of him to. I mean, is he? I'm presuming he's good. I mean, we've kept him round. But yeah, I need to see something from him. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with what we've got at the moment. If we were to lose Matt, obviously, I do think we need to go out and look at what's available. But I think we're going to become an MLS Cup winning team. We need a Matt Turner or somebody of equal quality. I'm not too sure if we could get through with Brad, but again, would I be massively disappointed? No, I don't think I would, but I would like better. We'll then move on to the defence. Now, this is the area where a lot of attention. First player, Michael Mantien. He just needs to go. If we're not keeping him on in some kind of coaching capacity for the Revolution 2 team, then I'm not too sure what he's sitting there doing because, I mean, he played hardly any minutes. He'd come on for the last 2 games, I think it was, towards the end for like the last few minutes. And I was just fearing that he's going to get injured and then we're going to have to sub him out again or play with the 10 men for the last few minutes because I don't get what, other than experience. Oh, God. How many yawns can you do in one video that don't get edited out as well? I really don't know what he's offering for the first team. So he's got to go. That's a good old wage off the bill. Alexander Buchner at left back looked okay, to be fair. Obviously, unfortunately, picked up an injury and then believed to have COVID-19. But yeah, I think he looked good. I would like a slightly better quality left back, but we'll kind of discuss about my thoughts of tactics and formation and stuff in a little bit later on in the video. But yeah, for me, Alexander is okay. Again, to kind of take us to that next step of being the MLS Cup winning team, I do think we need a better quality of left back. But for the time being, I don't think it's. I know a lot of people probably will disagree, but I don't think it's our biggest concern at the moment. Obviously, since the departure of the legend that is Chris Tierney, obviously we've had a bit of a torrid tyrant left back, and I do think that Alexander gives us some stability there. Again, I don't think it's the answer, but I do definitely think it gives us some stability. I think he's a better defender than he is attacker. But when I kind of go into my thoughts and opinions around what we should be playing next season, you can kind of maybe understand why I'm kind of happy to keep him where he is at the moment anyway. So yeah, so far we've got all three keepers I'm happy to keep. Michael Mantian out, Alexander Butner in. We're going to move on to Tony Delamea. Now, for me, I don't know what to suggest to do with Tony. I've always thought he's been a pretty solid player, if I'm being perfectly honest. He kind of always has got a red card in him at some point. That's the risk we've got. But I mean, he played a full 90 minutes against Montreal, and he had a decent game there. And then other than that, I think he's only played I think he played against Philadelphia in the MLS Cup is back as well, if I remember correctly. Because I think at that point, didn't we have Mantian and... Was it Mantian and... no, it was Farrell, wasn't it, that he lined up against, I think. Yeah, I think it was Andrew Farrell and Tony Delamea in that one. And then I think other than that... actually, no, he did start off, didn't he, against Montreal. I think he actually had quite a few appearances towards the start of the season, because I think the first game was against Montreal was Mancien and Delamea, which was surprising to everyone, but at the same time we had a lot of games to confess, so I kind of get it. Then I think he played the next game against DC alongside Mancien, which then obviously Mancien did get taken off, and then he played against Philadelphia, and then I think he had a few more minutes, if I remember correctly, in some of the games, but again I think they were minimal. So not played a lot of games this season, but I think it's 5 in total, three starters, something like that, and then 2 off the bench, I think it was, towards the back end of the games. But for me, I do think it's time probably for him to move on. He's not a first team starter. I imagine at his age, he's probably looking to get some game time, and I don't think he's going to be getting it from the Revolution. If I'm going to be honest, I mean, I want Andrew Farrell, and this is no disrespect to Andrew Farrell, but I want Andrew Farrell to be our worst option at centre back. If I'm being perfectly honest, and at the moment we've got 2 that do sit behind him, which is Mancien and Delamea. So I think with that in mind, that if for everyone's sake, really, I think it's the best option to kind of move Tony on now. I mean, I'd be happy if we kept him. I don't think it'd be. I wouldn't be massively disappointed if he was still on the roster next season, because I do think he has got his uses. But I don't think that it's fair on him, because he obviously wants game time, and we can't give him that again next season. We then move on to Seth Sinovic, or Sinovic. I think it is Sinovic, isn't it? But again, I think he played something like 13 minutes this season. I think he played against Philadelphia, didn't he? He came on in the Philadelphia game right towards the back end of the game. I think he came on for Brandon Bye, if I'm correct, and then we moved him to left back, didn't we? Yeah. If I can't even remember. But I think that's it. I could be wrong, but I swear he played 13 minutes in that game, or 10 minutes maybe. I can't remember. But he's definitely only played the one game for us. I was fairly kind of happy, I suppose, in a way. I kind of got the signing. We had good, 2 solid defensive left backs at left back, and I thought, oh, hang on, we've pretty much solved that problem now. And then even when Butner was injured, we thought, okay, this is Seth's chance now to get into the side and show what he can do. And then we don't use him. We use Dwan Jones, which again I'm happy with, but it's like, well, what are we doing with Seth then? I don't understand the purchase at all. It just seems like we've paid his salary for a year and got nothing in return. Well, not a year, but it's pretty much a whole season. Got nothing in return. So for me, Seth, unfortunately, again, got nothing against the guy. I don't really know him. I've not seen him. I can't really say, but it's going to be an out for me, unfortunately, that one. Andrew Farrell, happy to keep him in. I think he offers loads, and again, he kind of fits into the kind of what I want the Revolution to play going forward. And I think he's been a really good servant to the club, and happy to keep him around for as long as we can do. And I think he's just grown from strength to strength. I think he had an amazing 2019 season, and he kind of continued that. Maybe not as strong this season, but that's only probably because he's been shadowed by the Rookie of the Year in Kessler, which we'll kind of come on to shortly. But I think he's had a very solid season in terms of him obviously playing at centre back. Brandon Boy. Now, this one for me is, I don't really know what to make of Brandon sometimes. He is the one player that frustrates me, I imagine, the most, because some games he can play and he can be so good. I mean, the one that springs to mind for me is the game against New York. I mean, I know it was a 0-0 draw, but for that game for me, he played really, really well. But now, I mean, it's hard because I would never have put Buchanan as a right back, but he's played so well, and he just reminds me of that kind of Alonso Davies kind of style player where, you know, you convert a kind of player who some people think is a winger to the kind of a wing back, I suppose you might say. It just works. So for me, as much as I'm not really massively displeased with Brandon, I mean, he can't cross the ball. He's got to really work on that in the off-season. But I think defensively, he might be stronger than Buchanan. But again, I'm not too sure that could probably be a discussion in itself. But yeah, it's I mean, I'm happy to have Brandon as the backup right back if we are going with Buchanan. I'll be more than happy to keep him in the squad. So for me at the moment, Brandon stays. Dewan Jones, I think we just keep definitely Dewan Jones. I don't think he's going to be, and again, this is no disrespect because he obviously is a high caliber soccer player, but I don't think he's ever going to be, you know, anything more than an MLS player, unfortunately, for Dewan. I do apologise if you can hear the bin men. They're outside at the moment, currently collecting the dustbins, obviously, because that's their job. And obviously we thank him for them, especially obviously they've not stopped at all during this whole pandemic thing as well. So a round of applause for the dustbin people. Woo. Oh my God, where is this show going? Dewan Jones, as I say, I think he'll always be kind of I think this is the again, I don't want to speak poorly of him, but I don't think the MLS is a bad level of football at all. Obviously, I would to watch it, but I think this is his level. I think his versatility is what's going to keep him around the squad, because he can just fill in so many slots, and he does it all really well as well, and it's kind of quite natural to him. He kind of just looks like one of them players who just loves playing the game, and it doesn't matter what you ask of him, he will literally slot in and he'll give it his all. The only thing I have to say is that him playing left back, especially against Columbus and up against a very quality winger, and he kind of was shown to show that it's not his natural position. He was very narrow a lot of the time, and he got caught out of position a lot. And yeah, you could tell that he is not naturally a left back. I think that was quite obvious showing that one. But again, I think his work ethic and his ability, it's all there. And as I said, his versatility just is massively key. So I'm more than happy to keep Dewan Jones around the camp. And then we move on to the legend that is long-legged McDaddy, Henry Kessler. And obviously, what more can I say about him? He is an instant keep. I imagine he's one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment, and he's had such a good breakout season. And yeah, I just wish that continues, and I hope we just kind of get to keep him now, because I imagine if this is the one good thing about keeping obviously MLS on the down low, and obviously on the keeping it quiet and people not knowing about it as much, because if you think about it, if Henry Kessler had that performance in any other club in and around Europe and stuff like that, clubs would have been sniffing at him right now. He wouldn't be probably at the Revolution now, but because it's in MLS and no one's really making a massive, song and dance about him apart from the Revolution fans, which, when we don't have the biggest reach in the world, that he's ours. And he is one of our own. So I'm more than happy to keep him. Well, I'm more than happy. I'd cry, basically. I think I'd actually cry if we didn't. We then move on to the midfield. Now, just to let you guys know, I'm not going to really be talking about the Revolution 2 guys. So, I mean, I suppose they've been on loan at the Revolution 2, but they are first team players. So you have got, obviously, Colin Vernforth. Actually, no, I will. Vernforth, I'm happy to keep. I've seen him, obviously, he's done well in League One. It'll be interesting to kind of see how he does stepping up. But if we are to get rid of two defenders, I think he's going to have to be an option there. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how he steps up against the MLS quality strike forces. But I am more than happy to keep him. But I'm not really basing it on much, because obviously from League One to MLS, there is a good gold standards jump. But hopefully, if he is called upon, and when he's called upon, he'll be able to perform, and I'm sure he can get a decent job done for the Revolution in the back line. So actually, no, I will kind of cover them very briefly though. But we will move on to the midfield. We've got Lee Win. I mean, I'm happy to have Lee around for another season. I think he's contributed really, really well towards the kind of when we needed him the most. Really, I mean, he was for me it was the perfect signing when we kind of had our talisman out, and Lee kind of came in and started back in. It's almost like he hadn't been away, and I think he just offers us something which we haven't seen since really. Obviously, when we didn't have Carlos, I don't think we've really seen it from anyone else. It's nice to have him there, and I think he's a good option. And obviously, he's now getting on in years. He's going to be like 35 at the start of next season. No, sorry, he'll only be 34 when I think it's October his birthday is. But yeah, so he's going to be. He's actually the same age as me. How depressing is that? Not for him. For me, it's depressing that he's playing soccer for a living. And I do what I do. But anyway, let's not have a midlife crisis in the middle of the show. Oh, man. Yeah, anyway, back to Lee Win. Yeah, I think we've got to keep him. I think he offers us. I don't know why we didn't bring him on against Columbus. The game was pretty much screaming out for him. I think he's definitely kind of changed his style of play since I remember when I first started, and he was my favourite player when I first started kind of following the Revolution. He was just so, it just looked so easy to him when he was, a flair player, a bit of a flair player. So he was exactly the kind of player that I like to watch to play soccer. But while he's still got that in his locker now, and we can still see it, he's also, you can see his footballing brain is a kind of a step above maybe what we have at the club at the moment. And I think him and Teal are the two that I feel that have got the most up there inside their head. Maybe their body can't always do what they want it to do, but it's definitely there. And I think that's why maybe we're seeing Lee kind of almost playing, not as a defensive midfielder, but he is playing a little bit further back sometimes. And I do think that's him behind Carlos. I don't think is a bad thing, because if we've got somebody good alongside him, I think that kind of footballing brain of his could be definitely still useful. I do think we keep Lee Win for another season. We then move on to Callum Rowe. Obviously, when Callum kind of first came back into the fold again, another player I'd love to see, and I was really happy when we brought him back to the Revolution. We kind of started seeing these little bits of old Callum just sneaking in here and there, and then all of a sudden he kind of went off the ball a little bit. But I think that game in September against the Montreal Impact, we've seen a very, very strong performance from Mr. Rowe. He was only outshone on that day by Tyree Buchanan's amazing performance, for me anyway. And then the next game, he doesn't get played, and I get it because we're having games thick and fast. But he doesn't play 2 games in a row. He doesn't play against DC. He doesn't play against Nashville. Then he only makes a very brief appearance against Toronto. Same again against who was the next NYCFC. And it kind of just is a little bit of a knock-on effect. Then he comes back and he plays really well against Montreal once more. He seems to enjoy playing against Montreal. But then again, not featured in the next 2 games. And I say, I do get it, it's been a very weird season. We've had a lot of games. But it must be hard for players like Callum to kind of find some form when you come on your plan. For me, I don't think he hasn't had a terrible game. Some games, yeah, maybe not the best game, but he's never really done anything terrible that's kind of been detrimental to the team. I always think he plays really well. I'm happy for Callum to stay around. I imagine he's not on a massive contract, but I'm more than happy to keep Mr. Callum Rowe in the Revolution camp. Scott Caldwell. What do we do with Scotty? I mean, I think Scotty probably has to be my, not for footballing abilities, just as a human being. I think Scott has to be my favourite Revolution player. I think he's the epitome of one of the people who just tries hard at everything. I imagine at school he was very bright and attentive. He always did his the things to the best of his ability, and he made sure that whatever edge he could give himself, he did it. He would do whatever was asked and beyond to kind of get the job done. And I kind of feel that's what he does for the Revolution. Now the thing with Scott, Caldwell is that while I feel he's a very good soccer player, I don't feel that he is the caliber of player, and I hate saying this because I love him to bits, that I don't feel he's the caliber of player that we need, that we should be having at this squad if we want to be an MLS Cup challenging team. Now that's not to say that Scott doesn't have his uses, and that's not to say that I think that we should be getting rid of players like Scotty Caldwell, because I think we need to have him around the team, even in any capacity, shape or form. I think Scott should never leave the Revolution. I think he should just, when he does choose to hang up his boots, I think it should be one of them things where he instantly kind of gets some kind of, something around, because he offers so much more, and the way he speaks off the pitch, and he's a very vocal. You can hear him on the pitch a lot, especially now when you've got no crowd. You just see he's very passionate and always wants to give his all the time. So I don't think you should ever kind of have that. Even limited minutes, fair enough, but I don't think he should be a starter. Basically, that's what I'm saying. But I do think he's very useful, and I've mentioned it a few times that I believe that Scott should be kept on as kind of a custodian for the Revolution 2 players. He is a homegrown player himself. I think he should be going down to the Revolution 2 team at some point and kind of giving his insight and helping develop and nurture them kind of players as well. So I think he's got a lot of kind of experiences to be given to the squad, and I don't think we should ever get rid of that. We then move on to Tommy McNamara. Now, a bit undecided about Thomas McNamara. What do we do with you? I don't think he's had a bad season. I don't think he's had a great season. But I think he's one of them players which I don't think should never be a starting player in a MLS Cup winning side. But I think he's just useful to have at the moment. But again, how many players do we need to have that are useful around the squad? But for me, I don't think he offers much. In terms of, I don't think he has any other value, which sounds horrible to speak to them like this sometimes. But I don't think he offers much value in a trade like that. I mean, if we can get something for him, then maybe we do move him on. But if I was again to see his name on that roster sheet next season, would I be massively disappointed? Probably not. To be fair, again, I think he's definitely got his uses. He's a very, you can tell he's a very passionate soccer player, and he definitely is an MLS level player. But I just don't think he's that kind of elite MLS player, which I do think we kind of need something like that in midfield. I think we are lacking that. But for me, again, I don't think I'd be massively, again, if we've got some value out of him, I think we do move him on. But if there's nothing really out there that we can get for him, I mean, I don't think his contract's going to be that massive. What's the harm in keeping him on for another season? But then saying that if we're keeping the likes of Kellyn and Lee, yeah, maybe we do move on McNamara. But as I said, if he's still around next season, it's not going to be one of the things where I'm like, oh, what the hell's McNamara still on the team? He offered nothing last season. He did. He was very useful, and he kind of did what he kind of was asked to do in a lot of games. Matty Polster, very impressive start to his MLS career with the Revolution, but kind of tailed off a little bit. Obviously picked up a nasty injury part of it, but has come back, and I think he's done well. I mean, I've seen a very split decision on him against the performance against Columbus. I thought he did okay. I thought it was more Scotty at fault. I don't think either of them played particularly well, but I don't think Matt was any worse than Scott, if anything. But yeah, he's since his injury, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a little bit of lack of confidence. Maybe he's a little bit worried sometimes. But although saying that, he did come to a few feisty challenges in all three of their games, to be fair. He's a definite keep for me. I don't think, again, he's not the caliber, that elite caliber kind of level that we need. I don't think, but he could be. I think we've definitely seen it from him before. So there's no saying that he can't reach that level again and be that player, because, I mean, he's not really had that midfield pairing has not really had a set amount of time to play together to develop a partnership, and I think that's something that hopefully we'll see in the 2021 season. But he's definitely one for me we've got to keep. And then we've got Luis Caicedo. Now, obviously, unfortunately, Luis has been out for the whole season. But I think I'm quite intrigued to see if we don't go out and get somebody from for that central defensive partnership, then I am quite eager to see what the Polster-Casado partnership does look like, because I think that one could be the one for me. I do think that could be a very interesting. As long as they get a good run together and start developing some kind of relationship, I'm quite eager to kind of see what we can get from that. And then we'll just move on very briefly about the three. Oh, actually, no, we've got 4 players left, haven't we? We've got the one we do need to talk about, but we'll move on to the 3 Revolution 2 players. First of all, we've got obviously Isaac Ankin, Nicholas Firmino, and Damian Rivera. For me, I mean, Firmino is the one that I would happily promote to the Revolution team at the moment, see what he can kind of offer, especially on that left attacking wing. I would like to see kind of what he's got to bring to the squad in that position. The other 2, I'm more than happy to keep them on the books. I do think they need another season down with the Revolution 2 team, especially with obviously some of them not really picking up as much game time as we would have liked to. Obviously, Isaac Ankin obviously picking up another injury. Is that a problem going forward? Possibly, but again, I don't think any of the Dominic and Ankin offer anything in terms of value for trade. And I don't think we need to. They're homegrown players. They're going to be retained. And I think it's probably worth them just going down into the Revolution 2 camp. I do think Firmino, they should be given the opportunity, and then obviously if it's not working, we then obviously drop him back down to the Revolution 2 team. But I do think it's worth at least giving him the option of what he could offer on that left-hand side, because that is a contentious spot at the moment. And then we'll move on to the last player in the midfield, or listed as a midfielder, which is Diego Fagundes. Now, obviously, Diego is a player which splits the Revolution camp. I wouldn't say down the middle. I think it does swing more towards fan of Diego than not. And for me, while he frustrates me a lot, because you can see how good he is sometimes. He has these flashes of brilliance, and I was kind of hoping with the introduction of Carlos that he would almost latch onto him and just kind of learn as much as he can. And I'm not too sure he could be doing that. We don't know. But I think he has the potential to be as good, and maybe better than Carlos. He's still young, remember, he's not, it's ridiculous. I mean, he's been here for 30 years of his career, and he's still only 25. I don't understand how that is even possible, but it is fact. But yeah, he definitely has got something about him. He just, for me, I think it's his mentality with Diego. I think he needs to, if he can sort inside his head out, I think he'll be a much better player. And I hope the Revolution do help him with this, because for me it's pretty obvious, and I don't know why, but I don't know but if you ever watch a game and you just watch Diego, it's almost like if the moment he does something wrong or bad and someone gets on him a little bit, it just seems to fester in his mind. It's almost like he can't let go and just kind of think, you see sometimes when, like, I think in the last game, I think I noticed there was a little bit of a, not altercation as such, but, what happens in soccer sometimes, Farrell and Turner were having a little bit of a natter amongst each other about whose fault what was. But then after that, it's gone. It's said whatever is said on the football field stays out there, and it's in the heat of the moment sometimes. But for me, if you watch closely sometimes, when Diego does something wrong and gets a little bit of criticism or something said, that's the moment you lose him. He switches off. He becomes, he's very safe in his play, and you lose kind of what Diego brings to the game, which is picking the ball up, driving forward, and making something happen. So if you get Diego in the right mindset and can help him work through that, then I think he could be a huge asset to this team. And I definitely think we should try and keep hold of him. I mean, if it's not working out and he wants to leave and all parties are happy, then I feel like he has got value in the trade market, and I do think we can get something for that. And even just monetary value, I think we could probably get something for that. But for me, I think we should try and just unlock what that is in his potential, basically. And I know people are going to say he's had long enough and, he's never performed. But has he? I mean, yeah, he has had long enough, but has he never performed? I think that's a bit harsh. So that's my take on Diego. We then move on to, I know this is going to be a long episode, I know it is, and it's going to be a lovely one for me to edit as well. which to be fair, I will actually happily enjoy editing this one. 45 minutes already. That is insane. We then move on to the attack. Okay, so Christian Pania, for me, obviously, you know, he's had an injury, but even before then, we're not seeing the old Christian Pania. Where's that 2018 Christian Pania? And do you know why I think that's happened? Because for me, you know, he can play. He can obviously play the game, and he is. You can't say he's a poor soccer player because he's not. But again, I feel horrible saying these things sometimes, but they are my opinions, and obviously I've got to voice them because what the hell would be the point of this? But he's a one trick pony, and once he got found out after almost the first season of people how to deal with him, he doesn't really offer anything else. And now, to be fair, Bruce has tried him in multiple different positions, and it just didn't really work. I would like to see him given a. No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I would have liked to have seen him given an opportunity on the right hand side, see what that would have brought to the game. But then obviously, then it's like, where do you put Carlos Heel in Bruce's system? In my system, it works, but in Bruce's, well, you know, it wouldn't. But in Bruce's system, it just doesn't work. And that's what we'll think. Going back to Bruce Arena, the biggest thing that frustrates me the most is that we just do not have a plan B. If plan A just isn't working, then we basically we draw. We manage to scrape out a draw, we just lose. And there is no plan B. It's very frustrating. But yeah, for me, I think Pania, he's definitely got, you know, he's taken up a good old chunk of money. I think that money could definitely be spent elsewhere. Teal Bunbury, again, Teal really for me should always be around the camp. I think his experience and prowess should be something we should always keep. I do wonder sometimes with Teal. Again, this isn't the answer to the Revolution's issues. And again, Teal isn't a player we should be starting. If we're going to win a cup, he should be the player that we have on the bench. He's a depth. For me, he's a very quality depth piece for me, and starts every now and again. You know, when we've got to rotate the team, but he shouldn't be one of them players who's the first player on the team sheet. And I do feel that sometimes last season he was, and I've got to give him his plaudits. He had a really good season again, which is why I do not think we should let Teal go. But what is interesting to me is that I would love Bruce just for a few games. I think I'd love us to have a good old chunky pre-season with, you know, 10 games, just getting right stuck in there, just testing things out. But I'd like to see Teal play in midfield. I'd like to see what he offers. Again, he's not the answer. But I just wonder what that option is there. I think he's got the right skill set, the right brain. He's got that burst of speed if needed as well. He's got that attacking mentality. But he also, when you watch him, Columbus, there's a part where the one again was caught short. I think he was out of position. He was quite narrow, and it was a foot race. And I thought, there's no way Teal should win this. But he's just got a very good footballing brain. Teal, that's for me. He reminds me a little bit of like Teddy Sheringham. I don't know why, but you know, he's not the most skillful player, and sometimes it all seems to just be lucky with Teal. But is it? How can it always be lucky? That's what I say. But no, Teal for me he's got to be a keep. Again, I don't really think he offers much value, unfortunately, Teal. Again, I don't like saying that, but these are human beings we are talking about. Yeah, I'd like to see what he offers in midfield, but that's for a different story time altogether. Carlos Heel, I think it's more a question of can we keep him than anything. Obviously, everyone wants to keep Carlos, but can we? Just an amazing player. So happy when we got him, and he's gone beyond of what I thought he would be able to do, and it was just so concerning though that without him how poor we are. Yeah, 100% keep. Don't really have to say any much more on him. He's an absolute legend and a magician. Kakuta Mane. No. I don't get it again. Why buy a player and then hardly play him? And again, I think Kakuta could have offered... this is what I feel horrible saying sometimes, because I'm saying get rid of Kakuta, but I don't really know what he can offer because we've not seen it. I mean, he has a goal and an assist this season. And again... I think he would have been the type of player who could have possibly made something happen in that game against Columbus Crew. Bringing him on when, I mean, even taking a wide player off. I mean, that's what I don't understand. We took him off and we brought on Callan Rowe, which is, took off Buchanan, brought on Callan Rowe. But then we kind of lost any ball out wide. We had no options to get the ball out wide and kind of put an across for Adam to work with anything. But adding someone like Kakuta in towards the back end of the game when people are tight in there, just sitting back, just allowing him to use his pace and just run at defenders, who knows? But for me, yeah, I mean, what is it, 6 games I think he featured in? I don't really know what to say. I feel bad for saying it, but I think we've just got to, he's got to be one of the players out, unfortunately, because I can't see what he offers us, because he hasn't really been given the opportunity to. Adam Bootska, obviously, Booksa, sorry, I always say his name wrong, I should know by now. I kind of touched on him earlier about his contract. Let's take away what kind of contract he has. Should he be a Revolution player for next season? Yes, he should be. The contract is on, maybe incorrect, and hopefully we can possibly try and buy that down. But could he be a DP striker? Well, 100% he could be. When he wants to, not when he wants to, sorry, when we kind of deliver into him what, work towards his strengths and actually play and utilise him in his best way, he's lethal. He's not the fox in the box 20 goal a season striker, and I do think he'd probably work better playing. He should work better playing with Gustavo up there as well. But I do feel like it needs I'm not saying we go out and buy Jermaine Defoe, but I think he would work really well with that type of player alongside him. But definitely worth keeping Adam. Tyjon Buchanan, obviously in the attacker category at the moment, but who knows where he'll be next season. I think wherever we play him, whatever we try to do with him, we've got to keep him. He's very useful. He's was electric towards the back end of the season. He was very complacent and was a player went missing a lot during the start of the season, but I think he kind of found some form, and I think that is testament to the coaching staff, because we've kind of done with Tyjon what we can do and worked with him, and you've got to see the growth and within him. But he's you can tell he's a very switched on young man as well, and I wish all the best for him, and I kind of hope we can keep him for as long as we can. And then we move on to Justin Rennicks. Justin Rennicks. Again, not really only given a few minutes here and there for the Revolution first team, so not really much to go on then. And when he came on, I mean, he looked like, he was trying to get involved and trying to do the right thing. I think, he didn't have many minutes against Columbus, but I think for the few minutes that he was on, he was being coached in the game, which was really good to see the coaching staff on the sideline being very vocal towards him, trying to help him through the game. But I think, we were playing him wide left when he came on, which I don't think is his natural position. But I do think he's definitely got a future with the Revolution, and it will be quite intriguing to see. Again, I would like to see him given some more game time next season, see what he can offer that first team. But again, it could be a season that we do see him kind of start off in the Revolution 2 camp, gain some good, bag a few goals, and then obviously come into the Revolution 2 team. But I think he's a great option to have in and around the camp. So that's pretty much it for the Revolution 2, the Revolution team. Sorry, guys. So we'll just quickly run through that again. So in terms of goalkeepers, happy to keep all 3. In terms of defence, on the outs, we have got Michael Mancien, Antonio Delamea, and Seth Sinovich. In the midfield, we have got Tommy McNamara. Was that it? I think that's the only player I said that I was happy to let go in the midfield. It's a lot of midfielders. But yeah, Tommy McNamara, for me, is a player we've got to move on. And then in attack, it's Christian Pania, Kakute, Mane as well. So they're the players that I definitely think we should leave. There's some that were teetering, but it'd be very interesting to kind of get your thoughts and opinions on that as well. Now, we move on to the formation and lineups. So guys, hopefully if all things are going well, you'll be seeing a nice little graphic on your screen now. And this is kind of me just talking through, I mentioned lineups before, it's not really, so I'm not going to be mentioning players as, no I am, aren't I? I am definitely mentioning players. But this is more kind of an idea and kind of how I think the Revolution should maybe line up towards in that 2021 season. And now this is, if anyone is a Leeds United fan, this will not be a surprise because this is literally how Leeds play. And I would like to see if the Revolution can actually do this, because I think it works well, and I think we've kind of got the players which can get this done. Now, while this looks strange on your screen, and yes, it is a 3-3-3-1 formation, and it just looks like a block. It is correct. It's not me just gone crazy. This is kind of how I think we should line up. And I'll kind of give you my thoughts. Well, obviously we start off in the back with Matt Turner in goal. That makes sense. And the back three as such. So it is. So what this back three is, it's a left back and two centre backs, and we kind of leave that right hand side. So it's not almost like a block. We do shift them over, and we do have that as a right wing back player there. So it is a 4-man defence when it needs to be, but as an attacking piece, it's not. It's just them three at the back. So obviously we have, well, for all arguments that we'll just use the current roster as an idea. So we'll have Alexander Bündner at left back. We'll have Henry Kessler and Andrew Farrell as our back three as such. Now Alexander just plays his natural game as left back. He just plays there all day long, as he would do, not venturing forward too much, playing a very much defensive role. We then got Henry Kessler and Andrew Farrell. Again, for the majority of the game, they're just playing their natural centre-back partnership. That's what we're looking for them to do. Just stay there, stay solidified, stay as centre-backs, and we're all happy. On the right-hand side now, technically we've got no right-back. We've got Ty Jeremy Cannon, who's just sitting slightly forward in that right wing-back position. But at the same time, he's going to be bombing forward, he's going to be joining the attacking, but he's not going to always be in that position there. And then this is what I believe should happen. As we're kind of, caught in transition, I suppose you might say, and Ty Jones obviously not going to get back there. And we've got no right winger, as you can notice there as well. There's no one. Ty Jones is that right hand-sided player. That's all we've got option there. So we've got no player to kind of drop back in. There's no one covering us there as such. So what my thought process is that a player. So we've got in the three in front of the back three as such. We've got Ty Buchanan who's playing out on that right hand side, and if he is caught out of position, he can't get back. Then we've got the two players next to him, which in this example is Matt Polster and Luis Caicedo. Now, one of them, preferably Polster, I would say, naturally slots back in either at right back, because he's played right back before. That's where he played for Rangers. That's where he played at Chicago Fire as well, I believe. Sorry, I forgot the name. I actually forgot their existence for a little bit there, as most Revolution fans do. So either he slots in there, or we've got Andrew Farrell there, who can also then slot back in at right back. And then Polster just slots in at centre back. He's got the stature, and I think he's got the price about him to be a decent centre back. And then we've always got a back four. So no matter what kind of position, again, and even if it's Farrell over and Caicedo moving into centre back, not ideal. I'd rather have Caicedo go right back and Farrell stay middle, but I think we've always got that option to have a back four, and then we've always then got that one person as well shielding still, and then hopefully the midfield, like Buchanan and people are starting to then get back as well. But at any one time, if that right hand side isn't covered, you've got over Polster or Farrell who can move into right back, and then you've got an option of people who can play at centre back. I think it just works well. And as I mentioned, they've got the three players in front of them who we kind of just spoke about their defensive duties, but from an attacking point of view, you've got obviously Ty Buchanan, who's just bombing forward on all of that right space there, he's got by himself. And you've got them two players who we do really want to just sit. We've probably got Polster who needs to sit a bit deeper, and maybe we can kind of release Caicedo a little bit more. I think he's kind of that player that we can kind of use as a box-to-box midfielder more than anything. I think Polster's the sitting anchor man in that position. He just literally, pretty much doesn't move from that position. He's always in the defensive mode. And I think we utilise Caicedo maybe as the kind of player, or Lee Win, or, Bunbury. So, I don't know, somebody alongside him. Again, this is just using the roster at the moment. It's not kind of what I think we should go out and buy new players, but that's for a different day. Basically, I'm going to, as soon as the roster is officially announced by the Revolution, which at the time of recording this could be, I will be doing a breakdown of my thoughts and opinions and kind of what we need to go out in the market and then buy. Because until that's done, I do know what I would like us to buy, but I'm just leaving it because it could change my mind on a few positions. I doubt it, but who knows? Where was I? Yeah, so we have basically the one is whoever it is, one is the defensive minded, one is the kind of box to box. In front of that, we have behind the striker, we have two almost number 10s. We have Carlos and Gustavo here in this example. So we'll have Carlos here and Gustavo, and we give Gustavo the number 10 spot, and we give Carlos technically just a free role. That's his position, I suppose, but we literally just say, Carlos, just go out there and affect the game. Just literally play. You know, he doesn't really need to be on that right hand side because we've got Tyrone for that, so he hasn't got to really be worrying about that. We literally just say, this middle of the park here, this is just yours. Just go out there and do what you need to do to make, impact this game. And then got Gustavo behind the striker, and then on the the left hand side, I mean, we've put Bunbury there for the time being, for this example, but for me, this is a brand new player. This is the money player. The money that whatever we've got to play with. I think this is where a lot of it goes into. A good old chunk of change goes into this left hand side, because this is the winger. You've got Tyrone on the right hand side whipping in crosses, doing his thing down there. You then got to have the example, and this player here has got Alexander Butner behind him, so they haven't got to worry. They've not got to worry about defending, and Alexander has also not got to worry about attacking, really. You could see the odd overlap here and there, but so much so that I want this player to be an out-and-out, hugging that touchline winger that literally just stays out wide constantly. Doesn't get drawn into the middle. You don't need to. You've got Carlos and Butska. Not Butska. You've got Carlos and Bo there already. They're monopolising that. They're running the show here. Don't worry. Just stick outside on that wing and wait. The ball will come eventually. And all you've then got to do is use your prowess to whip that ball in to the glorious Polish man's noggin, and he will put that ball in the back of the net. And all Adam's got to worry about is he's not going to worry about dropping deep, because you've got your two players there behind you. You've got your two players to run around and do all of that hard work for you. You've just got to worry about being in the box at the right time and in the right place. And that is my revolution formation for the 2021 season. I hope that kind of made a little bit of sense. It did in my head. I don't know if it does to yours. But it'd be really interesting to get you guys involved more. So hopefully we'll do some episodes where I bring you guys on and you can give your opinions of how you feel the Revolution should play. And I also obviously want your takes on breakdowns of the game and where you kind of thought we won or lost games as well throughout the season. So I do want to kind of get you guys involved more. The only issue is there's a bit of a time difference between where you guys are and where I am. So yeah, that'll be interesting. But I'm sure we'll be able to work something out. But anyway, guys, that's hopefully you've managed to get through a lot of that. Hopefully I've tried to keep it as entertaining as I could. So yeah, hopefully, as I said, the new format will be kind of similar to this, but more polished, more edited, more polished, more interactive. The more things to watch, basically. Obviously, hopefully, I'll just play a little snippet now of something that I am bringing back next season as well.
Huff, here we go once again. Against Terry Henry's football, soccer team. You might have played for Manchester United, but you're not Chris Tierney.
That's all something you really enjoyed. Well, I seem to enjoy the alternative commentary, so I will. It does. I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed making it. It's a little bit painful. It does take a bit of time to do, but I did actually really enjoy doing it. So, and you guys enjoyed watching it as well. So I will definitely be bringing them. I don't think I'm going to be able to do every game. I wish I could. If I can, I will do, obviously. But if I can't, then obviously just please bear with me. I'm trying my hardest. But hopefully you guys will enjoy the MLS. Not the MLS. What is MLS? Hopefully you will enjoy the 2021 NERevs UK show. As I say, at some point maybe you might see me in person hosting the show, but who knows at the moment. Who knows, I might have figured out a way of... No, I haven't done for this episode, have I? I've got another idea of something I can do going forward, but I haven't done it in this episode because for some reason in my head I thought, oh, maybe I could do, but obviously I can't because I'm already recording the episode now and I haven't done it. All these thoughts in my head, you see. I can guarantee that the next year's shows are going to be hopefully visually, nice visual aspects to it, and you guys will enjoy watching it. And hopefully, even if you're just listening to it, it kind of still. I kind of want to make a show which lends itself to still be just listened to, but at the same time, I think it also is visually more appealing as well. At the same time, so it's kind of not really. It's still not really a podcast though, because I kind of want to be able. You guys need to see more because obviously, as I was talking then about the formation, without you looking at it, it kind of maybe doesn't make sense, but hopefully it does make a little bit more sense when you're kind of watching the visuals move on the screen. But yeah, hopefully we'll bring back alternative commentary as well. And that's pretty much it. If you guys do wish to show your appreciation and do kind of want to help me continue to grow and make better content for you guys as I can, buy more apps and all that kind of stuff. I have got a Patreon, that's all I'm going to say on it. The link is in the description if you do wish to, but obviously you'll never be charged for anything in terms of content. It's all free because I'm not going to be quitting. I may have more stuff maybe in terms of I might do like a blooper reel and stuff that I might put on Patreon only. If you pay a certain amount, you get to listen to the unedited version of all the bloopers that I make as I record. I don't make that many, to be fair. I don't think. But yeah, that's for another day anyway. I don't really want to talk about that kind of stuff. So, but guys, if you have enjoyed this one, then obviously do all of the YouTuber things by dropping likes, smashing subscribe buttons, and all that kind of stuff, as it does actually help. And I just want to obviously end the episode by hoping that everyone is safe and well, and that you're all looking after yourself and your loved ones during obviously these uncertain times. Yeah, until the roster update, I'll catch you guys in the next one.